Strap into your seats and get ready. It's time for the Mortarpod.
Hey everybody, I'm Alex Stephenson. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mortarpod, your weekly video podcast for completely custom Magic the Gathering sets based on movies, TV shows, books, all sorts of good, entertaining works of fiction that everybody knows about. And they just make perfect custom Magic sets. And it's really fun to sort of dive in and apply it to the Magic world. Quick reminder, I just made a playthrough video for my board game Travelers of Storia. So you can go to travelersofstoria.com, or you can go to Seems Good Magic and just type in Travelers of Storia, or check out the playlists. I have it up there, and I'll probably even have a link on this video for it. But yeah, check that out. I'd appreciate any feedback, and hopefully it sort of, gives you some idea of what the gameplay is like in my game. Okay, let's get into it this week. So we're doing Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction was a 90s movie, Quentin Tarantino. Really awesome movie. I loved Pulp Fiction. It's kind of a movie about, crime, the mob, also very star-studded cast. And like many Tarantino movies, it's not really shown in chronological order, so things are out of sequence a little bit, and you sort of have to piece it all together. But let's get into it. So it starts with a diner robbery scene, and then it sort of skips to a couple gentlemen in a car heading to some sort of job. You don't know exactly what they're doing. They're well-dressed in suits, and it's John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson. So these are the first two characters. We have Vincent Vega, the hitman, played by John Travolta. He's one colorless, a black and a green, for a 4/2 trample mobster creature. And Mobster is the mechanic of this set. It is, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player may discard a card. If he or she doesn't, that player loses 2 life. So they get a choice. Both of the options are kind of bad. They either discard or they lose 2 life. So, pretty powerful, but what you would expect a mobster to do, either stealing what they have or punishing them for not having it. And Vincent, of course, being very powerful in that he's 3 mana with 4 power, trample, and this mobster ability, so that justifies the 2 toughness. And Vincent Vega, the Vega brothers. If you've seen Reservoir Dogs, another Tarantino movie, there's another character named Vega in it, played by Michael Madsen, and that's supposedly Vincent Vega's brother. Michael Madsen was originally supposed to play the John Travolta's part in this movie, but he couldn't make it, some prior obligation, and so instead Quentin Tarantino wrote it for John Travolta and just made it Vic Vega's brother. Next we have Jules Winfield, the Vindicator. So Jules Winfield, played by Samuel L. Jackson, really cool character. He's got some awesome dialogue in the movie, of course. It's Samuel L. Jackson. He's wonderful. So Jules Winfield, the Vindicator, is 3 colorless, a white and a black, for a 3/4 legendary human creature. He's a rare. He also has the mobster mechanic, and he has, whenever a creature you control dies, target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. So punishing you for, destroying your creatures. Definitely powerful. Something close to that would be like Outpost Siege, if you'll recall from Fate Reforged. One of the modes on that, whenever a creature you control dies, it deals 1 damage to creature or player. So that's a little bit similar. It's also similar to Unruly Mob from Innistrad. Whenever a creature you control dies, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on Unruly Mob. So this is sort of a combo of that. That was where I came up with the idea for the triggered ability. And Jules Winfield's flavor text is, And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. So it's a Bible quote that he says a couple times in the movie, actually. Okay, so the next card is Recovered Goods. And this is that same scene. So they're driving to the job where somebody has stolen from their boss, and they're there to recover what's stolen. So Recovered Goods is one colorless, a green and a blue. It's an uncommon sorcery. Return target non-creature card from your graveyard to your hand. If you control 2 or more creatures, return up to 2 target non-creature cards from your graveyard to your hand instead. So they do. It turns out the guy does still have the stolen merchandise, which appears to be a briefcase. And when John Travolta opens it, there's a bright light that's sort of emitted from it. But you, as the viewer, never get to find out what's in the briefcase, which is kind of cool. I like that. And of course, Recovered Goods. If you control two or more creatures, you get, an additional card from your graveyard. That's in line with John Travolta and Samuel L. showing up together to help recover the goods. It all makes sense. Next, we have Mia Wallace, the Protected. So this is John Travolta's and Samuel L.'s boss's wife, played by Uma Thurman. This is sort of a big breakthrough role for her. She went on to do Kill Bill with Tarantino a few years later, so obviously they developed a good relationship. And Mia Wallace, the Protected, is a black, a green, and a white for a mythic 3/3 legendary human creature. Whenever Mia Wallace, the Protected, receives damage from sources you don't control, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may put a creature card with converted mana cost 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So Mia Wallace, obviously connected to the mob world, being married to Marcellus Wallace. So she's protected, so if she's dealt damage from your opponents, she calls for, her protection, basically. Her husband sends somebody to help her, or her husband himself helps her. So she, very complex character, which is why she's 3-color. She has some addictions to, like, cocaine. She's still kind of classy. You can tell she doesn't really do... It doesn't seem like she's really involved too much with the illegal activity in terms of what mob-related activities, more of just drug addiction and enjoying the luxury of being the wife of a mob boss. So next we have, Vincent and Mia are, Vincent's basically assigned to hang out with Mia by Marcellus. They go to a 1950s sort of style restaurant and dance club, and there's a very iconic scene where they're dancing in the dance club, and then they go back to Mia's place, and while Vincent's in the bathroom, Mia steals some of Vincent's heroin out of his suit pocket, thinking it's cocaine, and does a line of it, immediately ODing on the heroin. So the next card is Heroin Coma, and it's a green and a white for a common aura enchant creature. Enchanted creature can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. At the beginning of each end step, if enchanted creature's power is 5 or greater, sacrifice Heroin Coma. So you can see it's like an Arrest for 2 mana, multicolor. So it's a little bit cheaper than Arrest, but it's also multicolor, and it's got the stipulation if the creature's too big, then Heroin Coma falls off. But still very limited playable card, I'm sure. Next we have Adrenaline Shot. So Vincent comes out of the bathroom, sees that Mia is, passed out on the ground and has taken his heroin. So he drives her to his heroin dealer's house, and the heroin dealer happens to have an Adrenaline Shot to wake her up. And Adrenaline Shot is 1 red. It's a common instant. Target creature gets +2/+0 and can't be blocked this turn except by 2 or more creatures. So Vincent stabs her in the heart as fast and hard as he can, and she immediately is awakened from the heroin coma. So I made sure that it all lined up. Mia has 3 power. Adrenaline Shot gives 2 more power, which then makes the heroin coma fall off. So it all sort of works in a cool little way. Next, we have Butch Coolidge, boxing champ. So this is sort of the next series of scenes in the movie. And this is played by Bruce Willis. And Bruce Willis was, at the time, as an actor, coming off of a kind of string of a few pretty bad movies. So this was a big break for him. And Butch Coolidge, boxing champ, is one colorless, a white, a black, and a red for a 4/4 mythic death touch creature. And very powerful, of course, but he has death touch because he makes a deal with Marcellus Wallace to throw a boxing fight, but he double crosses Marcellus and, in fact, bets, without Marcellus's knowledge, bets on himself to win and proceeds to win. In fact, he kills his opponent in the ring. So he of course has death touch because of that, and then his activated ability is a white, a black, and a red tap. Butch Coolidge, boxing champ, fights target creature. So fighting with death touch, of course, already good there as well. Certainly worthy of mythic, I would say. And he's a cool cat in the movie. Very cool character. The next card is Gold Watch Heirloom. So with Bruce Willis, you sort of get this flashback scene, and it's him talking to Christopher Walken when he was a little child. And Christopher Walken is basically explaining how Bruce Willis's dad died in Vietnam, but wanted his son to get this gold watch, basically his birthright. And Bruce Willis's dad, not wanting the Vietnamese, his captors, to steal it, stuck the watch up his butt for years, and then gave it to Christopher Walken, a military buddy of his, who also had to keep it up his butt. After Bruce Willis's dad dies in the camp of dysentery, he gives it to Christopher Walken, who then proceeds to keep it up his butt too. So, watch has been up multiple butts, but it finally does make its way to Bruce Willis as a small child. It's an important heirloom to him. So the card is 3 colorless. It's an artifact, uncommon. And then it's 2 in tap. Target creature you control can't be blocked and gains vigilance until end of turn. And then the flavor text is, I hid the uncomfortable hunk of metal for 2 years. Then after 7 years, I was sent home to my family. And now, little man, I give the watch to you. And Bruce Willis, knowing that he's going to have to flee town with his girlfriend because he's double-crossing a mob boss, basically tells his girlfriend to go get all of their stuff from the apartment. But she forgets his gold watch, so he has to go back into basically the lion's den, the most dangerous area, to recover his gold watch. So next we have Marcellus Wallace, mob kingpin, played by Ving Rhames. Very cool character as well. Very intimidating guy. And he's 1 colorless, 2 black for a 2/3 mythic legendary human creature. He has the mobster mechanic, and he has an activated ability of 2 colorless and 2 black tap. Search your library for a black creature card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your library. You lose 2 lives. So this is, of course, related to the fact that he's the mob boss. He hires all of the people throughout the movie or contracts with them. So you can see I deliberately made it so he can summon all of the creatures basically in this set because they all have some black in their mana cost. And pretty powerful activated ability, which I think in my mind makes him worthy of mythic, since you basically get to tutor up any black creatures. Very, very strong. This guy would be awesome and fun to play in Commander. Next we have a Winston Wolfe, problem solver. This is played by Harvey Keitel. This is a really awesome character too. He basically is just this rich guy who does contract work to fix sort of crime scenes or problems in general, generally related to the mob. So he's 2 colorless, a white and a black for a 2/4 rare human creature, and he has 1 white. The next time an unblocked creature of your choice would deal combat damage to you this turn, prevent all but 1 of that damage. So this is directly the ability on Force Field. I figured it seems like something that Winston Wolfe would be able to do, is mitigate damage, people sort of trying to investigate crime scenes. He's just really good at eliminating evidence and stuff like that. So really cool character. And finally we have the Gimp. If you'll recall, the Gimp. I won't go too much into depth on this scene because it's definitely the most disturbing scene in the movie. But the Gimp is 1 black for a legendary human creature, a rare, a 0/1 defender. And whenever a creature blocks, it gets -0, -1 until end of turn. So kind of an interesting little legend. A powerful effect on a 1-drop, but it's just a 0/1 defender otherwise. And as soon as it defends, it dies. So it's kind of funny. And yeah, like I said, I won't go into too much detail on the GIMP. I'll let you watch Pulp Fiction if you never have and sort of understand that on your own, because it's pretty disturbing. But definitely recommend watching Pulp Fiction if you haven't seen it. Pretty awesome movie. And it's got to be one of Tarantino's greatest films of all time, I'm sure. So thanks for tuning in this week, and be sure to check out travelersofstoria.com. Yeah, you can check out the new video. Any comments you leave on that would be very much appreciated. Okay, guys, we'll see you next week.